Where are we going? North.
Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons.
Therapeutic benefit in role-playing games.
Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah, baby.
Your presence requested in exchange for treasures.
Red River.
Are we talking one treasure each?
Count that.
And welcome back to Dungeons and Dragons. Guys, we have reached our 2-year anniversary, and for that, we thought we'd do something a little bit different, a little bit special. Our most popular game, the game that most people actually watched from beginning to end and had most interactions with, was the Worldwide Wrestling RPG. Now, I'm 2 thumbs up right there, because wrestling's my gig, right? But we're going to do something a little bit special tonight, a little bit different, bring a little bit of extra content for you guys for this. And Conrad, what exactly are we doing tonight?
So we are going to help you fill out your roster by creating characters unscripted on the spot here, using randomly generated words.
And our noggin.
Yeah, and our noggins to come up with, the wrestler, the gimmick, some finisher moves, yada, yada, whatever. And you can use this, just to help pad some extra characters in there in the background. Because it can be extensive legwork to come up with an entire wrestling roster.
It can.
So, yeah, we're going to help you do that.
All right, perfect. So why don't we just get started? Where are we pulling these random words from?
So randomwordgenerator.com.
Perfect. Beautiful.
Generate 3 words at a time. We'll go back and forth. I mean, we'll help each other out, but we'll just alternate characters with the final say to just get back and forth and have, definitive choices there. All right. So I got border, arrogant, and spin. So
border, arrogant, and spin.
I've got two pretty weird ideas, I think, right off the bat. And I don't know, if it's, just a little too much. But so border, it makes me immediately think of border patrol, but also a skateboarder. So my first thought is, border, arrogant, and spin is it's somebody who works at the border patrol but doesn't use vehicles because they're so into spin, and they run spin classes, and so they're just riding a bicycle everywhere, have the high shorts with the proper uniform otherwise, but
they're totally wearing a border patrol uniform,
right, a border patrol uniform
on a spin bike.
Yeah, on a spin bike, with the exception of the shorts. It's just we're talking, 80s tennis.
Who loves short shorts?
Yeah.
I love short shorts.
There you go. With the socks. So I don't know if the border patrol. How do you feel about that, Nate? Is that too charged?
Maybe a little bit. It kind of reminds me of the Mountie. The Mountie was a Canadian wrestler. I can't remember the Mounties rather, but it kind of reminds me of them, except on bikes instead of horses. But I'm down, totally down with something like that. That especially for an indie promotion like that. That totally works. So my 3 words are, I guess, kind of topical and interesting. I have acute, endure, and flu. So I'm kind of thinking, I hate to go COVID man. Wearing masks and stuff
COVID man.
COVID man. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think another use for flu that I'm thinking of is with a chimney.
Yeah, but that's FLUE.
Yeah, but
okay.
Yeah.
So you could be I'm the Chimney Sweep. Anyway.
So what if you combine them and it's somebody who was a chimney sweep who got trapped inside of a chimney for 2 weeks, and then
he had to eat the family of squirrels that lived in there.
He had to eat a family of squirrels that lived in there, and he became both sickly and really motivated. Where it became his whole identity, to survive that, endure. He's stuck in the chimney.
Yeah. All right.
And the acute is how aggressively it became his identity.
His name could be oh God,
Chimney cricket.
Chimney cricket. There we go. I was gonna say like Chuck Sweepley or something, but I like Chimney cricket a little bit better.
So Chuck Sweepley is his like wrestler name. Then Chimney cricket is his like wrestling persona.
That
Because in
works.
like the Worldwide Wrestling RPG, you have to make
Or it
both.
could be actually Chimney cricket could be his mascot. Like his little, like he could have like a little manager or something.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh
See?
my gosh.
There you go, guys. The
He
creative
has an
process works.
actual cricket that
Yes.
like he like acts as if it's like intelligent.
Oh my god, the Undertaker and the power of the urn. It's now a cricket.
Yes.
What are we doing to wrestling? Anyway, Conrad, 3 more words.
All right. Okay. Research, verdict, and exception. Well, also are like they seem related. Is that really random?
I know. right?
So let's see. Research, verdict, and exception. So there so somebody who's like in a lab coat, doing some sort of research where what would the exception be? Let's also cross him with let's cross her with a lawyer. She's a forensic attorney where she does her own independent research in a lab and then defends
Defends the title on Tuesdays.
oh my god, defends the title. That's this. I will come up with the perfect scientific and legal method to perpetually maintain the women's title.
She's like an evil villain. Like with
Yes.
the goal is she's coming up with some sort of a scientific way, whether like maybe not necessarily a scientific way, but like, she's kind of like a mad scientist. So like she might like say she's gonna blow up the ring or something, or hold
She's
people
always
hostage.
researching weaknesses. Like
Yes.
she's like investigating people's home lives. It's like that one video where or the million videos where they like go to like the wrestler's home, and it's like that's like her deal. Is that
Right.
she's like like she finds some sort of legal precedent to like go into their homes and do all these searches.
I like
Brings it
that.
back to the lab.
I like
And-
that.
Yeah, I'm thinking her name has to be Karen. Or is Karen just Karen Esquire PhD. Karen Esquire PhD, where Esquire is
Yes,
actually her
last name. I love it. Love it. So this is intriguing. I got dictate, monster, and paradox.
Those are awesome.
These are awesome. Those are awesome words. So monster, I'm thinking somebody like, and then obviously like a paradox. I guess what's like a good common paradox? Let's Google, help me. I don't, oh man, I wish I knew more about paradoxes.
Well, let's do one with like the monster. Or what were there was monster and
Monster, dictate, and paradox.
So let's get an exact definition of monster. So
Monster in the wrestling world just means like somebody who's unstoppable, right? So you had Kane, you had Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, I guess really would be considered like a monster. Just somebody that's big and scary and that really can't be beat easily. Hulk Hogan, I guess probably not, because he's a good guy most of the time, but you know what I mean. Usually they're big, muscular, like dudes. I'm picturing somebody that's like at least 6'8", 6'9", or more. That's probably at least 350, jacked. Braun Strowman comes to mind. Is kind of like a body type. And then like paradox.
So
It's got to be something to do with wrestling.
the person literally never wins. Like they're unstoppable,
But they still never win.
Like
That's
every
right.
single match, they completely and utterly dominate. But like as if fate itself is like, but you won't win.
Something always happens where they can't win. Something always something like falls out of the rafters and pins them to the ground for the 3 count. Or like I like that. Like an unstoppable monster. That paradox, perfect.
Right. So
And-
the wrestling definition of monster versus
Yes.
then like it never happens.
Let's keep it rolling. Let's not get stuck on one thing.
Mr. Unstoppable.
Perfect. Mr. Unstoppable. Actually like it.
All right. Bleed, infrastructure, and idea.
So it's a help desk guy, or not a help desk guy, just like an IT systems engineer who's bleeding from constantly bashing his head off the desk because he can't get the network to work. And I'm not talking about my real life. No, not me.
Yeah. So that's like the wrestler's like home life.
That's his day job.
That's his day job before he like comes to do his wrestling gig. And so, but bleeding becomes part of his persona where he's constantly covered in, he has like a constant bandage around his head from smashing his own forehead open. So he's got just like a bloody head bandage every single match.
Yep. Oh my God.
It's amplified. Like he's like a really hardcore wrestler because where like it's part of his day job, he's then constantly asked by people in the federation to do the IT work. So they're like, "Hey man, can you help me with this?"
Like all not just all the like and like a typical IT guy, if it plugs in, you're responsible for it. At least that's what the rest of the company thinks. So like he's constantly getting asked to help with the sound guy and the lights and like, maybe the vendor, like the hot dog vendor's cart's no longer working, so he's got to try and help them out too. Oh, that's not bad. I was also thinking he could take sticks of RAM and use them as like throwing stars. Although that might be a little bit too deadly, but whatever. It's a fantasy wrestling thing. So these three are interesting, especially in this context. I got wrestle, hurl, and top. So in this one, I'm kind of thinking as a catch-as-catch-can wrestler. Basically, like it's a style of wrestling. It's an older style of wrestling where it's just kind of like grappling and trying to work the whole, like work arms, work body parts. Not necessarily do like flippy stuff to like wow the crowd. It's kind of more grounded in reality. So for this guy, I'm kind of thinking more like, so like I said, wrestle, hurl, and top. For like his top, right? He basically has just an old school singlet, like with just like the one strap, kind of a la Andre the Giant. And hurl reminds me of curl, so give him a curled mustache, and he just fights old timey. He's got like fisticuffs, sir, yes, sir.
The hurl.
Yeah, Earl the hurl, hurling Earl, something like that.
Hurling
there
Earl.
We go. Hurling Earl. I like it. Perfect. He's an undercard guy, but it works.
How old is he? Is he actually old, or is he like just using old style?
I'd say he's probably in his 30s, but he was just born in a different time.
His ancient secrets passed down from his grandfather. He can be like a legacy wrestler. All right, I've got twin, user, and photography. Man,
it's a tag team. This is a tag team.
Yeah, for sure. Like, has to be a tag team. The photography element, like
selfies.
So yeah, definitely selfies. I was gonna say like it's almost like it's like a really awkward like bromance. Like they'll be like Swedish or something where they're both like totally like hairless, blonde, like really oiled up. And they're like constantly like taking like all of these just like fan service photographs like out back. And that's like a big part of their thing. But they're also like, like one mind. And so like, it's like really awkward for like other people around, but it's like nothing to them. And they'll like come into the ring in like perfect unison, like no matter what, like people will try to like throw them off, but they like somehow like mirror each other perfectly. And then definitely like as part of whatever their tag finisher is, they've got like, they take out the selfie stick, like as like part of like the pin, it'll be like a like leaning back, like elbow pin with like the selfie, and they
immediately post it to Twitter and Instagram.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. It's like live.
I feel like the name of the tag team needs to be something like Face Space.
Face Space.
Oh man, God, MySpace used to be a thing. People, it was a thing at one point. All right, let's see. What do I got here? I've got extort, deposit, and weigh. So I feel like this should be some sort of a corporate banker, extort and deposit. Yeah. Maybe like $1 million, kind of like Ted DiBiase, $1 Million Man in a way, where just like a dude who's got a ton of money, a lot of money. He's not a nice dude. He'll just buy, basically like your stereotypical millionaire who's kind of an asshole, is kind of what I'm thinking here. So, we don't have to go super crazy with it, but and his whole thing is he's going to show you the way with his money. He's going to show you because that's the other word is way. He's going to show you the way. He's going to show you his way. This is how I did it. Come on. I'm going to show you the way. And it's basically, he's kind of like like a self-help guru type of a deal.
Yes, that's part of his whole extortion scam.
Yes. So, so I'm going to show you the way, but he doesn't really show anybody anything. He just takes their money.
All right. Countryside, clearance, and acceptance. All right. So I'm immediately going to like a farmer, but it's like
a farmer that drives a really tall tractor that can't get under bridges. He doesn't have the clearance.
doesn't have
it's terrible. Oh, it's so bad. I'm sorry. I feel like you could do, and this is kind of almost a very similar gimmick to a guy named Joe Gacy in NXT right now. But he's playing like a cult leader, but this cult leader is all preachy about acceptance, right? So you could do kind of like this like country bumpkin type of a guy, right? Countryside cowboy, cowpoke type of person who's like all about inclusion and acceptance and stuff, but he does it in like a creepy way that just doesn't make you feel like he really is. If that makes sense. Kind of like a Bayou type cult leader.
It's like
That's kind of what I'm thinking
Cry 5 villain.
Yes, kind of, sort of.
I kept like defaulting back to like the clearance part and like being like the mad sale, like, and like thinking about like stuff on clearance and like some like farmer who's like, it's his first time and it's like a wild market and stuff, but like that's like a one-time thing. I was like, I couldn't make that into a whole gimmick. But no,
the thrifty farmer buys everything on clearance.
Yep. Yeah. So that's like another like Instagram account thing. It's just like, follow me at the thrifty farmer.
Okay, let's see. What do I got? I've got illusion, factory, and first hand. I feel like first hand, like sleight of hand, illusion, magician makes a factory disappear. I don't know. Wrestling magicians historically don't work. They've tried. They just don't. They don't catch on.
He can be somebody else that coincides with your character who was born another time. Hurling Earl. And he can be also like an old-timey dude who's like a factory worker, but like always dreamed of being a magician, but he like isn't one.
I'm gonna make my opponent disappear. All right, let's do one more. All
right. I got honest, blind, and dentist. And I mean, honestly, I gotta just go straight at the dentist thing. So he's a blind dentist.
Never pulls the wrong tooth.
As I say, yeah, he was honest about he wasn't born blind. He went blind later in life, and he was honest about it and lost his medical license. So it's like kind of like a tragic origin. This is actually going to be like one of the title contenders. And he then goes on, like it's almost like Doctor Strange, where it's like, what do I do with my life? And then he starts like doing this, these searching the world, for like how do I like, make it so that I can see again. And then he gets like this like Eastern sage advice where it's like, well, like define see,
Perfect.
But he like he does still hold on to the dentist stuff where he does like a lot of like headshots and stuff where like he's like a really I'd say like profound, like that's not the right word. He's just like a really good striker. Is like part of his wrestling style.
I'm down with that.
And that's like all of his like finisher moves. It's just like the toothache and stuff.
The crown.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah. Because like nobody also like everybody is going to wince, thinking about like dental surgery and stuff. Like,
right.
Nobody's like, oh, that's pleasant. They're going to be like, oh, that actually like makes me really uncomfortable. So like the moves definitely are going to hit home.
All right, guys. So see, being creative, it's not necessarily that hard. I mean, some of these ideas are stupid and out there and weird and wacky and zany, but you know what? That's what gets the creative juices going. Do something like this. Bring up a random word generator, grab a dictionary, point to a random word, and use that to just try and think of something, right? You don't necessarily have to sit down with a friend. You don't have to use every single word that you see and every gimmick that you come up with. But just get those juices flowing, and before you know it, you'll have a roster full of weird wrestlers.
Karen Esquire, Mr. Unstoppable, Hurling Earl. All these classics.
All right, guys, until next time, like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Welcome to Demons and Dragons.